In case you missed it, here's a Sports Animal Rewind.
Excited for our next guest is going to be one of our celebrity pickers for our bowl game challenge. As the on-air staff, we always do our bowl game picks, and we get some celebrities to join us. How cool is this? WWE Superstar Kane joined us right now as he has his picks already in, and we will talk about some of those right now, and he joins us. Kane, Vince Ferrara, and Evan Woodbery here in Knoxville. How you doing, Kane?
Good morning, guys. I'm great. How are you guys?
We are
Very
great.
good.
So Kane, is it corporate Kane now that you prefer to be called? We don't want to be disrespectful, so how should we refer to you as?
Corporate Kane doesn't sound very respectful. I think Kane is just fine.
All right. Well, before we get to your picks, let's talk about where you have gone in your career. You've done some great things in your career, and you've had a lot of different roles. Is there a role that people recognize you most as in terms of the different stages of the Kane character?
Well, sure. I think for sure wearing the mask is what sort of sets me apart from everybody else, and that's what everybody remembers. In fact, it's funny because people will see me in public to this day, and, they'll say something about the mask. I'm like, I wore the mask. Well, I guess I wore it a couple of years ago, but I didn't wear it for like 8 years or something like that, 7 years. But it was just that's what distinguished me. And also, of course, that's when a lot of folks would have been in the late 90s, early 2000s, along with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and guys like that. And that's when our business was just super on fire and hottest thing in entertainment. And I think that's why a lot of people sort of equate the mask with me.
Kane, I'm wondering, and I know one of your first stops in the business was here in East Tennessee, and did you think when you were getting started that you would build a career out of this, that you would be in the business and be as successful as you've been, or was this just kind of something fun to do after college? Did you know that you would end up building a career in wrestling?
Well, what happened was I'd always been a wrestling fan, and I was playing college sports. I played basketball and football in college, and I blew my knee out really bad in football. And, I was like, well, I still think that I have an advantage over most people in that I'm a really big guy and I'm a good athlete. And this was when Hulk Hogan was super on top of the world, the entertainment world. And I was a big fan of WWE. I was like, well, I'm going to do that because that looks like fun. And then I got into it and then found out that, not only was it fun, but yeah, you can build a career out of it. And there were lots of opportunities. In fact, that injury opened up a door for me that I'm certainly glad opened up, because if I'd have had the fortune of going on, saying, and playing in the NFL, I'd have had a few years as an offensive lineman, and that would have been it. Whereas with WWE, I've been here for almost 20 years. I've done very well for myself. I'm well known around the world and all that sort of stuff. So it's one of those deals in life, sometimes you get handed something at the time that seems really bad, but it opens up a door for you into all sorts of stuff you never could have dreamed of.
We're visiting with WWE Superstar Kane here on the New Sentinel sports page. So many interesting things about Kane's background. We'll get into him. We'll have him back on as he is going to be our celebrity picker, one of our celebrity pickers for our college football bowl game challenge. We'll get to that in 1 second. One last thing, though, Kane. You mentioned being known around the world. You're also known around here as well and in the state of Tennessee. Talk about where the love for politics came in and the office that you're planning to run for.
I think the love of politics came in because I'm crazy. I think I'm just naturally insane or something. No, I like everybody else, I worry about my children and the world that they're going to inherit from us. And I do think it's important that we get involved in that sort of thing and try to make that world better, at least not worse than it currently is. I am not pursuing any political offices. Every once in a while, my name will pop up in regards to that, but I'm not doing that at this point. May do it in the future, but I'm not sure right now.
All right. Now, let's get to your bowl games. You went through and you did your picks. Were there any games that stood out to you that were slam dunks? How much did you struggle doing your college bowl picks?
I struggled quite a bit, actually. Because, okay, here's the deal. I'm a big SEC fan, and I think that the SEC is by far the best college football conference in the country. I think that many of the teams in the SEC could probably do pretty well in the NFL. So that was actually one of my criteria was, okay, if it's an SEC team, I'm going with the SEC team, right? But there were some, because I think I'm like a lot of people, you see a good sort of mid-major team or smaller, I don't want to say smaller college, but with not the history and credibility of a football program, just because they haven't been around that long. They may have a really good team this year, but you don't know much about them otherwise. They're not known as a football school. So you have a very good one of those versus a well-known football school that hasn't had a very good year. And it's very hard for me to make those picks because you automatically want to go with the well-known team. But on the other hand, lots of times, these teams that don't have big names, these schools that don't have big names, they have a heck of a team. So those are the ones that were really hardest for me to do.
What did you go SEC in the national championship game? What's your pick and how many confidence points?
Of course, man. Of course.
How many confidence points did you put on it?
I didn't do the confidence points deal.
Okay.
Because I'm sort of new to this whole deal. But I had to put a lot. I had to put a lot in that. Man, like I said, I have a lot of faith in the SEC that they're going to pull through.
Kane, I'm wondering, I know so many of the wrestlers and guys in the business have college athletics backgrounds, and so are there a lot of football fans? I mean, do you have a favorite team, or do you have other guys in the business that you have rivalries with favorite teams or favorite conferences? And I mean, you guys catch it on TV when you can, when you're out on the road?
Oh yeah, sure. The guys are all big fans, both of college and of the NFL. Of course, my favorite team would be Tennessee. And before I came on, you guys were talking about the junior college recruiting day, and Tennessee's also had a great recruiting year from high school. And I think Butch Jones is the guy that's really going to turn the Tennessee program around. He has really what you need in a head coach at that level, just a passion for the game and all that sort of stuff. So I think over the next several years, Tennessee, at some point, hopefully, will be back into national prominence. And it's for all of us, it's been far too long, even though it hasn't really been that long. And then with the NFL, I'm sort of a fan of any team that Peyton Manning plays for. Since over here in Knoxville, I guess, the Falcons are sort of close, the Titans are sort of close, the Panthers are sort of close, but Peyton's the guy that's close to my heart, so I always go with him.
All right. Well, Peyton Manning, also the SI Sportsman of the Year. Real quick, are there any other Tennessee fans that you know of in the WWE locker room?
No, man, there's lots of Florida fans, so yeah. I'm in no man's land a lot, and it really, talk about dog eat dog. That's where it's at. Yeah. Well, they didn't have much to brag about this year either, right? Yeah, that's true. Thankfully, otherwise I wouldn't hear the